Okay, we are going to start this video off. This will be my thoughts on the Call of the Duties. Now, this is not my thoughts on this specific Call of Duty. This is my thought on Call of Duty in general, like Activision, Treyarch, Sledgehammer. What one can I not think of? Infinity Ward. This is all three of them together. The one for this specific game will probably have like 3 in its own. For the campaign after I beat it, for the multiplayer when I just feel like it, and for the zombies also when I just feel like it. But this is for Call of Duty in general because I wanted to do this because I've thought a lot about this because I used to play Call of Duty a ton back in like MW3. And I continued to play it for a while, and then like the last 2 years I've bought the games, but I haven't really played them much, just a little bit, and then this one I'm only really playing because of my one friend, and I was just going to buy it originally just for zombies. But, you know, I got it. So, just to start things off, I wish that they decided to separate how they did things. One of the big complaints that Call of Duty gets is like, oh, it's just the same game, just different like maps and guns. That's about it. Which I am like, I'm half one of those people because like it really is like it's fundamentally the same game. Now, if you think about any of like the other games, yes, they're the same too, but I don't know, they like mix things up enough where it still feels similar, but it's really it's not. Or it still feels like similar of the aspects that you like, but has like a new twist on them. I'm letting you like it a bit more. But the Call of Duty isn't like that. It just stays the same pretty much in essence. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like you can change things up to make things a bit better. But how I wish that they could change this up and would definitely help them with this problem is if each different company, because they have 3, had their own unique theme. This is like for the multiplayer campaign and for zombies. I wish that each one had like not just their own theme, but they had their own specialty game mode and like their own story with their campaigns that are unique from one another. Usually they try to stick with like the same theme. Like as soon as one of the Call of Duty started going into the future, like, oh, what could possibly happen, they all started jumping on the bandwagon. And then soon enough we were going to jetting around and like the power suits and all that, and it was just terrible. That was a terrible thing. And I'm willing to bet like the next Call of Duty is going to be in World War II again, or in World War I, or just some other thing years ago. What I wish that they did is that one company, either Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, or Treyarch, went into the future, one went into the past, and one went into like current day, and then they each made like their own unique things. Like, I don't even care if they like make up the events or if they go with actual times. Like, well, obviously if you go for the future one, it has to be made up, and for the ones today, you'd probably have to make it up. But like for the ones in the past, because those are historical events and everything, they could probably like actually just take historical events. But I think it'd just be better if they just made things up. I kind of wish that Infinity Ward, because they're the ones that made Ghosts, I don't believe that they ever continued off of that campaign. And that actually really upset me, especially because they ended it with a cliffhanger. And then I wish that they made Ghost 2, but it wasn't Ghost 2, it's just called Ghost 2, because I hated Ghost more than any of the other Call of Duties. That is my least favorite Ghost today, except for Extinction. I loved Extinction. But yeah, I wish that they went off of that branch, and they were the ones who were like the common day type people, and they had like their own, the ghost people continuing off of the last story, and they have their unique story. And then someone like Sledgehammer continues with doing what they did with this game, where they stay in like the past, and the next they go to the World War I or some other event. Yeah. And then the other aspect that I was talking about, like that's not the only thing. And then obviously, Treyarch would go into the future. Now, when I say like the specialty game mode, by that I don't mean like war or domination or anything like that for multiplayer. By that I mean zombies, extinction, spec ops, the things that they've had in the past. Everyone has jumped on the bandwagon of zombies. This game has zombies. The last few have had zombies, and yet Treyarch was the one that started it. Well, they were the ones that really like progressed of it. Now, I do love zombies, and I like the fact that every game I can now play it. But at the same time, I dislike the fact that they all have it now. I understand zombies are fun and that it has a wide popularity and player base, but at the same time, like you're gonna ruin it if you just keep producing it. Like that's what's happening with like Call of Duty in general. Is like more people stop playing it because they say it's just like the same game and everything. Like if you just keep doing the same thing and keep giving the people the exact same stuff with like minor, well, I guess zombies isn't really the exact same. It is just fun overall, but still, it's gonna potentially cause it to wear down, and you gotta like separate these things. Which is why I wish that like Sledgehammer took. I'm not saying any of them can go in any direction. Like I'm not saying earlier with like the future, present, and day and all that. I'm not saying that they have to go in the specific order that I said. They can do whatever. They can have a group meeting and then say, okay, I'll take past, I'll take present, I'll take future. It doesn't matter who takes what, and yeah. And there was like one group said, okay, we'll do zombies. Now, whether it's Treyarch, I would kind of prefer it to be them just because they were the one that started. And then the other two companies give Treyarch their stuff. Like they say, okay, this is what we've done with zombies so far. Here, have like this. And then one company says, hey, I'll take Spec Ops. And then if any of the other companies have ideas, then they give them to them real fast because, yeah. And then the last company, either I would love it to be Extinction, to be completely honest, because I enjoyed Extinction. I think it was just wrong direction that they took it in, really. Or come up with some other game mode. To be truthful, I thought Extinction was a good game mode, but I think it relied too heavily on knowing what you're doing. Like in Zombies, yes, the Easter eggs require you to know exactly what you're doing. But when it came to Extinction, to just beat the level required for you to know exactly what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily bad because like people are going to have to learn and everything. But when you're in a multiplayer experience with other people that you can't really depend on for them to know what they're doing, it makes it unfun when they're failing and it's affecting you. Like, if you could keep going infinitely, like in Zombies, even if they failed, you wouldn't care. Like in Zombies, if they die, okay, you're going to keep surviving. But in this, if they die, you die. And I think that was the big, like, problem with it. No, I think that they should still keep an mission. Maybe add a survival mode like Spec Ops had, because they did have, like, the special survival mode, which I loved. I loved playing that. Where you could buy like the sentry guns and everything and refill your ammo and then buy a gun. That was great. I do wish that they add that in the back with the Spec Ops if they actually do what I'm saying, which they probably won't. But you know, if whatever reason they see this video and they decide, you know what, let's listen to this kid. Where was I going? I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, and then I would love for them to continue Extinction, and I think that what they should do more with it is like add a survival mode, because that would be nice for people to do, where they won't have to depend on others, and make it a bit like easier to get along. Like the only time I ever actually won any of the games in Extinction was when my entire like the group of random, like the random other 3 I had, they knew exactly where everything was. They knew more than me at that point, and I was like, okay, we can actually make progress, and we won. And then the only other time was when I had my one friend play with me, and it was just me and him. Like, you think it'd be harder because there's less of you, but of course less aliens spawn and everything, but no, it was a lot easier. Because both of us, like, kept throwing down armor and ammo packs, and we knew we could communicate with one another and everything. And like I think that they should change up how long the missions take. I'm glad with or change they when you click on a mission, then you decide the difficulty of the mission as like a group. Like even with the randoms, one person votes like it'll be hard, medium, normal, and it doesn't decide how much damage you take or how much damage you do. It'll purely decide on how long you go. Now, not in like a survival thing where you only go like 15 rounds, like more along the lines of you have to kill 5 hives in 3 different areas on hard difficulty. You have to kill 3 hives in 2 different areas on medium, and you have to kill 2 hives in 2 different areas on easy. Something like that. That's really for like them to decide and blah blah blah. That could be something that they potentially do, or they just kind of change the dynamic of Extinction. I also think that they kind of overpower you with this, like, how many things you need to look out for in Extinction, making it very difficult. Like, I don't think that they need 2 different little red guys. Like, there was the base alien, which was, like, the little red guy that just chased after you and hit you. There was a scorpion who shot at you. And then there was, like, a big little guy that was just red. And he hurt more and was faster and was bigger and took more damage. It's like, why you are around? Like, there's a rhino for a reason. Don't make a miniature rhino. Plus, there was the guy that made turrets, and then the gargoyle that came. I did not agree with it. I did like that it had, like, its own story that went along with it. I thought that was good, but I don't know. I wish that they made, like, a bit more involved with the story, and it wasn't just, okay, here's a clip of something happening, and then now you're fighting aliens. And, like, actually maybe have, like, story missions along with it. Wouldn't mind that either. That would probably grow the fan base. Now, I understand that a large group didn't like Extinction, but still, you gotta build your fan base somehow. You have to start with the basics and work your way up. And if you don't want to go with Extinction, fine, don't. But yeah, that's just my recommendation. But then, I do want them to change how they do things for multiplayer. One bandwagon that they all jumped on is the class-based system. Like, I loved the way it was set up in, I believe, Black Ops 3, where there was the different classes, and then each one had, like, 2 different abilities that you could activate. Like, I think one was more of, like, a passive than anything else. And then one was, like, an actual active. Like, there was the Punisher, who brought out the one-shot pistol. There was the guy with the lightning thing. And then there was, like, the classes afterward that were just, like, stupid, that just gave you a gun or something. I didn't like those ones. I liked the way that Black Ops did it, and I think that so Treyarch, should keep the class system in multiplayer. And then I think that the other 2 companies should come up with their own, like, gimmick, I guess I want to say. And that way, each year when a different company makes the game and a different game is released, it won't feel like you're playing the same game, because they each have their own different gimmicks that change. And that way, it won't feel like you're playing a similar game until, like, 2 years later, which by that time, you'll probably already not be used to it anymore. Now, this could potentially cause an opposite effect of people thinking it changed too much, which then will have, like, a different problem, and we'll just have to work with it from there and kind of potentially still make them a bit more similar and not have them each have a completely different gimmick and try to relate the gimmicks somehow to make them similar but different at the same time, which would definitely be complicated and difficult, but it's not impossible. Like, even in this game, the class system is for the weapon that they use. There was, like, the mountain unit, which is the sniper rifle people. Their Air Force, which I believe was, like, the submachine guns. Like that. I don't like that. Like, it's just unnecessary. So then, like, Sledgehammer and them would come up with their own different gimmick. Instead of having, like, the class system and who you are, they could do something, I'm not entirely sure what, to be completely honest. Just, like, a different type of gimmick. Oh, we could do something. No, that would be more of. That would still be more of like a class system. I was gonna say you could do something potentially like a killing floor, where one person has like a flamethrower, one person they're called like the Firefly. Then there's like the Bruiser, which has like axes and chainsaws and stuff like that. But yeah, that would still be a more along lines with a class system. So I don't know, maybe changing up like adding a role system or something like that, which is similar to class but not really. That could be something that should keep people similar, and by that I mean like what what's it called has Evolve, where you have like a support, a medic, things like that. And then the person that goes in like the future or something can do like more of a sci-fi theme and go like the Destiny route, where each person has your characters have shields, and then that's similar to a class system still, and then they'll have like different grenades and stuff like that and effects based off of what you choose. So I guess a class system can be chosen for each one, and that's actually a good idea because of keeping it similar. But like you have to make sure you're changing it quite a bit, even though like now they're changing it quite a bit, but in essence it's still pretty the same, sort of. And then a big thing that I just want Call of Duty to do, because I hate it so much, is they did it in their Nazi zombies. They did it in this current zombies, but I wish that they applied it to the multiplayer and to the campaign. And that is giving a health bar. I hate the fact that it's just your screen turns red and your breathing becomes rampant and heavy and stuff like that, but you don't actually know what health you're at. Like, you can just kind of tell, oh, now I'm at, like, more HP than I was before. Like, I wish it actually gave you a legit health bar that you can always look at. I don't care if it's a giant health bar like they have in Destiny at the top of your screen, or if it's a tiny health bar that they have in Nazi Zombies at, like, the bottom left that's just a little circle. You can even go like the Battlefield route and just give like a bar that goes 1 to 100 on the bottom left hand side that also gives you like your ammo and your gun and all that. Just add that along there. Obviously, you might get copyrighted if you do exactly the same way Battlefield does it, so I would suggest not doing it the exact same way. Yeah, like just apply a gosh darn health bar to all Call of Duties from now on. I hate it. I will say that you don't need to do anything with your campaigns. All the campaigns, I would say, are honestly pretty good and have a decent amount of story so far. I haven't played this one yet, so I can eat my own words. But I think for the most part, honestly, you're good at creating stories. Like, I liked Ghost Story. With like ending it with a cliffhanger and everything. I think that the ones that went into the future were a bit like far-fetched because it had like the hive mind and all that stuff. So a little bit far-fetched, but at the same time, it's the future. Future stuff. I enjoyed all of the Black Ops story modes. I definitely like how like the one Black Ops 2, I believe, made it so that depending on what you pick throughout the game actually gave you multiple endings. That was cool. Now, I'm not saying apply that to every campaign, but still. But, like, that is the overall. I wish that they would separate the gimmick that they do for multiplayer of, like, the class systems and all. Each group did their own thing of Nazi, zombies, Extinction, and Spec Ops. Each one, like, having a survival mode and then having actual missions. Well, maybe not with zombies, like, actual missions, more along the lines of just, like, keeping survival and adding story. And another thing that I wish that more zombies did is they have the notebook. Like, maybe not to this notebook's extent that's in this Nazi Zombies. I don't think it should literally describe to you the entire Easter egg. But at the same time, I think that it is a good idea and that it should be kept. Like, oh my god, figuring out the Easter eggs for, like, Treyarch Zombies is, I could not do that job with those people of just surviving countless waves, just testing one thing after another, oh, I would cry. I can't do that. Like, I would be fine with doing, like, Destiny and WoW raids, because those are, like, there's only a limited amount of options you can do, but, like, an entire map for zombies while you're just constantly being hunted down, oh, that would drive me insane. So, like, having the notebook would definitely help. Even if you just turn the notebook into hints, I would like that to be in more games. So yeah, just have your own different things, bring back Extinction, but like change it up a bit. Bring back Spec Ops. God, I love Spec Ops. Each one person go in the future, past and present. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but make sure that you're not going off of the same timeline that the other game is going. And I'm not talking about story, I am talking about timeline. Don't follow the people if they're going into the past. You don't need to do that just because they did. Don't follow the people if you go into the future. You don't need to do that just because they did. Now, if like the Activision contract says you need to follow them in the direction that they're going, okay, then Activision needs to change their way, not the individual companies. And yeah, that's just like my thoughts when it comes to Call of Duty. Now, obviously, I don't really like Call of Duty, I'm not gonna lie, like, just the run and gun type of style and things like that. I do like how the fact that they added, like, a ranked system and stuff like that. I think that's good. But, you know, Call of Duty will be Call of Duty. I don't really have to say anything about with skill streaks with any of the games, though. Those, I think, are just, fine. Fine the way they are. But I do like, and I do hope that they continue to make, like, unique game modes, like War and other things like that. But I hope that they, in the future, realize, like, in this game, they counted the War maps as actual maps of what they should release. I hope that in the future they realize that that is a unique game mode, and it should have its own unique amount of maps. Like, the War has 3 maps. And I know that, like, I think I heard that, like, all Call of Duty games start with, like, 12 maps, I believe it was. And, like, those 3 maps actually counted, so it only started, so this was the first one to only start with, like, 9, technically. And I don't think that should really be how it is. I think, yeah. I hope that the maps try to become more unique. Like, I think it was Black Ops 2, where they had Hydroid, where, like, you could actually get flooded and stuff like that. I hope that they add more effects of that. I did enjoy that. I hated dying to it, but honestly, I did enjoy it. But, yeah, these are just small changes when it comes to Call of Duty. If you enjoyed any of the... If you enjoyed the video or agreed with anything that I have to say, please leave a like, comment. I will accept any constructive criticism. If you hate the idea, tell me. If you love the idea, please tell me. If you have your own ideas, tell me. Go ahead. I'll give you feedback of myself if I enjoy it or don't like it. If you want to see more, because I will always do like my thoughts on games that I play, whether I like them or not. I will go ahead and like keep doing this always. So if you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you happen to know any of like the Call of Duty actual producers or anything like that, like on a personal level or just on like a acquaintance level or something like that, I would not mind if you would send this video or just like send them a message saying, hey, this kid has these ideas, you might want to check them out, even if you're not going to do them, any of them. Like, check it out, see what you think. Maybe contact the kid to ask him some questions or something like that. I would definitely not mind at all. But thank you for watching, and I bid you all adieu. Goodbye.